5 good minutes, that's all I need, 5 good minutes. But tonight we'll be coming out of Daniel, chapter 3, reading from verses 14 through 18. If you're able to, please stand for the reading of God's word. Again, that's Daniel chapter 3, verses 14 through 18. I'll read the even, you'll read the odd, and we'll read the letter together. And it goes, verse 14. Please stand for the reading of the Lord's word. Thank you, amen. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up?
Now if ye be ready, that when the time ye hear the sound of the horn, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of burning furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hand?
Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter.
If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thy hand, O king.
In verse 18 together. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading, the hearing, and the understanding of his word. Amen.
Amen.
It's kind of hot up here, so I'm going to take my jacket off. All right. And get comfortable. But so many times in life we're faced with choices and decisions that must be made. And one thing I always like to preach to the kids at school is think about the outcome of the situation before you actually get involved in the situation.
Yeah.
And then I started thinking about what I was telling the children. And sometimes I have to think about the mindset that we're actually dealing with. That if they are unable to think about the outcome, then they're probably unable to think about the situation or the decision that they're making themselves. So I decided to look at it from a different viewpoint now. So now, let's think about the choices and decisions that we're making and why we're making those decisions and choices.
Yeah.
So that's the reason that I picked the text, verses 14 through 18, because a lot of times we look at this passage and we talk about the outcome and what the result was. How did it get to that point? What decisions and choices were made to actually get to that point?
Yeah.
And so that's why today I'm going to speak to you from the topic of doing right despite. Doing right despite. And I'll have a couple of despites for you, so don't ask and wonder, well, what's the despite? I'll soon let you know, and you shall soon find out. But before we get to the text, I want to make sure that everybody is on the same field and understands exactly some of the background and history which led to that point. You had a situation taking place there with Daniel and 3 of his friends, Mishael and Hananiah and Azariah. Some may wonder, well, who are those other 3? We're not sure who they are. Well, they are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They just went through a name change.
Yeah.
And we'll discuss why the name change took place. But that's common in today's society. We have name changes, and sometimes they're for the better, sometimes they're for the worse. Because very rare do you hear them say, paging Dr. Booby to surgery. paging Dr. Booby to surgery. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So his name is Clarence. Leave his name Clarence. That's his name. It has some meaning to it. It has power to it. His name is Derek. Derek means royalty. King, it has some meaning to it.
Yeah.
So don't ridicule the man's name and call him Boogie. His name is Derek. It has power. It has meaning to it.
Yeah.
But that's another topic for another day. On the history of what we're talking about here, we have Nebuchadnezzar, and it's actually prophesied before that he would actually take over Jehoiakim and Jerusalem, and Daniel, the vision is actually coming to fruition. So now he's taken over Jerusalem and Judah here, and he's enslaved some of the Hebrews that were there. And with any corporation, it begins to expand. And when one corporation takes over another corporation, they have to have the qualified members to run the corporation. You might not have the qualified members within your camp, so you have to go outside your camp. And so that's what Nebuchadnezzar does. He goes outside of his camp, and he calls upon his men, his servants, to get the top qualified Hebrews that they can find.
Yeah.
They must be the best educated. They must be intellectual.
Yeah.
They must be, for whatever reason, he had this stipulation on there. They had to be good looking. They had to carry themselves well. They had to have personality. So he's looking for the best of the best among the Hebrews so that he could manage his growing corporation that he's designed here.
Yeah.
And that's how Daniel, Mishael, Hananiah, and Azariah come about. And he's teaching them the Babylonian ways. And so he's teaching them the Babylonian ways, and they learned everything about Babylonian culture and how their life should be led. And in them learning everything about the Babylonian culture, they actually have to go through this name change.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the reason for the name change is so that they can totally alleviate the Jewish Hebrew ways that are taking place. So that's when you get Daniel, God is great, changing over to Belteshazzar, Baal, protect him, being the king, and Baal being one of the Babylonian gods. So that's where that name took place. And then you have Mishael, who is greater than God, and his name gets changed over to Meshach, who is what Aku is, and Aku being another Babylonian god. So hence you get the theme coming along. They're getting from God and changing over to these Babylonian god names. And then you have Hananiah, Jehovah is gracious, and he's changing his name over to Shadrach, and he's changing over to Shadrach being committed to Aku, and Aku again going back to that Babylonian name. And then you have Azariah, Jehovah. Again, Jehovah hath helped, and his name is changing to Abednego, and Abednego being a servant of Nebo, again, another Babylonian god. So that's why you have the name change that's actually taking place, so they could actually be a part or feel a part of this Babylonian culture.
Yeah.
And as they're going along, he actually, Daniel prophesies or interprets one of Nebuchadnezzar's dreams, and he's, you have the power. Your God is the ultimate God, and I'm going to worship your God. And because of what you are able to do, I see through you what your God is able to do. I'm going to make you ruler over my province. And as he makes him rule over the province, the three that are tight with Daniel, he says, well, they're linked to Daniel, and you're linked to God. So through those three, I'm going to make them ruler over the affairs of the province. So he places them in highest esteem, and gives them high positions. So now he has his little cabinet formed of the top of the Hebrew nation. So that's why they're placed in the position that they're actually placed in. And then, just before we get to the text we're going to talk about, he has the golden image that's set up.
Yeah.
And as you actually research, the entire image is not gold.
Yeah.
The image itself, it measures 60 cubits in height and 6 cubits in width. For those that don't know, that's 90 feet by 9 feet. He wanted you to do some worshiping. He said it as high as he possibly could with man's hand.
Yeah.
90 feet by 9, and the head was made of gold representing Babylon, his kingdom.
Yeah.
And the chest plate was made of silver, and that was representing Persia.
Yeah.
And then you go to the legs of bronze, and that's representing Greece.
Yeah.
And then he has the legs of iron, and that's representing Rome. And then you have the feet that is a collaboration of the clay and iron, and that's representing the vision of Western Europe. So he has all the facets in the image that he wants worship there. And so now we get to this point where he has this golden image set up for the people to worship. And now we're getting to the text here. Stay with me. Stay with me. You'll get excited as we go. So now in verse 14 he says, Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? As Christians, we're going to get asked this question over and over again. Is it true?
Yeah.
Is it true? Why? Why do you worship what you worship? Why do you not serve my God, the one that I have set up for you? I mean, we see it every day in our daily lives. I'll go into personal experience because I don't want to be in your neighborhood, step on your toes, or upset anybody tonight. So I'll just stay in my neighborhood and speak from my own personal experience. So even when I'm working at Honda Finance and they say, well, you have to leave all your Christian beliefs behind, I'm still going to say, God bless you to everyone that I see.
Yeah.
That's the belief system that I believe in. That's the, yes, it's true. It's true. I believe my God. And even at school when they say, well, you're not going to be able to speak of Christ's name, I'm still going to, every Friday morning, offer Christ to the young children and give praise and worship with the young children every Friday morning in the name of God, because that's the God that I serve. And no matter what's going to take place, I still have to do what I'm going to do, which leads me to my first point. Doing right despite what they say. Doing right despite what they say. We have to make sure that we don't conform to today's society. There's a station out called ABC Family. ABC Family, and I found it quite interesting, some of the shows that they're coming up with on ABC Family. We have shows where they have teen promiscuity that is promoted, and we have shows where we have same-sex households where it's promoted, and we have shows where same-sex marriages are promoted, and they want to deem it the term or the slogan, the new family. I'm here to tell you that's not the new family. That's not a family of mine. That's a sinful family. If you want to put the sinful family on there, that's something I can go with. But despite what you say, I know from my word that that's not the new family. I'll give you an example of the new family. It's a man that's following Christ, and he's at the head of his household, and he's merging with a woman in marriage, and they're cohabitating to raise their children up in the beliefs of God. That's the new family that we should be promoting. But instead, they want to promote the sinful family as the new family. So despite what they say, stay strong in your word and know that the new family is not what they're promoting on TV. We have to stay strong despite what they say. We have to keep moving despite what they say. And we have to do right despite what they say. And then they want to try and glamorize it and put glitz and glamour on it and make it look like that it's better than it is. And they have all these wonderful actors and actresses promoting the shows and in the shows, and that's the same that they did back in the day. That didn't just start now in today's marketing. They've always done that. It's there in the text. As you look at verse 15, it says, Now if ye be ready, that at which time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, dulcimer, and all kinds of it. He has a full piece orchestra set up before the praising even takes place. I can just see it now as he's walking up to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because he had much respect for him, and he looks at him and he says, all right, fellas, they've been telling me some things. I I've placed you in certain positions for a reason, so I'm going to go to you before I believe what they say, and I'm going to ask you the question, is it true?
Yeah.
Is it true? And then he says, even if it is true, don't worry about it. Even if it is true, don't worry about it. Because what we're going to do, we're going to do this thing again. We're going to cue the orchestra, and then once we cue the orchestra, all you have to do is just bow down. That's all. Just bow down and submit. It's not a problem. Don't worry about it. Just bow down. Everything will be taken care of. Now, if you choose not to do this, we have an alternative set up for you. We do. We got a furnace back there. You see the furnace. Yeah, that's set up for you. Matter of fact, go ahead and light that for. Yeah. It's getting hot now, right? Yeah. So you can bow down, or you can face the furnace. Now keep in mind, if you bow down, all is forgiven. You don't have to worry about anything. Matter of fact, we'll keep the fire going. We'll put some pigs on there. We'll put some marshmallows. We'll have some s'mores, a nice little campfire celebration. All you got to do is just bow down. Don't worry about it. But keep in mind now, if you don't, you'll be placed in this fiery furnace. Somebody today is getting ready to be placed in a fiery furnace, despite what people are saying. And you have to be ready to stand strong on your faith. You have to be able to do right, despite what people are getting ready to say about you. As a Christian, you're already seen as the minority within the world. You have to stand strong. As we're looking around in the neighborhood that we're settled in, we have crack houses on corners, and we can't stand by and get ready to be sent into the fiery. We don't care about the crack house on the corner. Matter of fact, we go praise in front of the crack house on the corner just because we know the God that we serve. And that's the mindset that you have to have. Despite what you may say or do within the neighborhood, as Christians, we serve a mighty God. So despite what you may say. Now I have a quick story. Despite what you may say, we at school we decorate the doors, and they got all this mess. You have to say Happy Holidays and everything. And, I don't abide by that. I can't abide by that. So what I do, I love peanuts. Not the kind you eat, the cartoon. Y'all know Snoopy, Charlie Brown, Linus. I love peanuts, and what I did was I drew Charlie Brown on my door, and he's there with Snoopy, and he has his little silly phrase. He's showing Snoopy 2 turtle doves, and I drew 2 turtles with wings. So 2 turtle doves, and Snoopy is saying, good grief. Because Charlie Brown gets no respect. We all know that. So Snoopy's like, good grief. Come on, Charlie Brown. Really? 2 turtle doves? Okay. And then at the top of the door, I have Merry Christmas. Now, everything is colored. But I left one thing not colored. And I just wanted to see if this was going to work or not. And the students would walk by and they say, well, Mr. T, that's what they call him, Mr. T. I pity the fool, Mr. T. Your door is not complete. I said, what do you mean my door is not complete? And they point, and I say, well, what do you see that's not complete? And they say, Christ. And I say, it's done. It's complete. God bless you. Keep moving. And then the next child comes along and he says, Mr. T, why didn't you complete your door? The contest is started. And I look at him and I say, well, what's not complete? And he points and he looks and he says, Christ. And I say, it's complete. It's done. God bless you. Keep moving. And the next one comes along and he says, Mr. T, I don't understand. Why did you not complete the door? And I said, what's not complete about the door? And he points and he says, Christ. And I said, it's complete. God bless you. Keep moving, young child. And that's what we have to remind ourselves as we walk through our daily lives. Christ is filling that void that we have there. Even when people think your life is not complete, you say, Christ has filled that void. Your job, when Scott is giving you all the burdens at work, you point to God and you say, Christ has completed that void. When your family is talking behind your back and you say, Christ is there filling that void, it's complete. And when your friends are saying your life has a blank in it, you point to the heavens and you say, Christ has made it complete. So we have to do right, despite what they may say. Y'all try that at the job. I found that it worked really well. So y'all see what you can do with that. Spread that around a little bit. And then as we move along to the text, because he asked those 2 questions, and The first one being, is it true? And the second one, who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? One thing I took notice there, he mentioned hands. Hands. He needed both hands to grab hold. And that's kind of what Satan does. He needs his hands to grab hold. But think back to Genesis. We serve a God that all he has to do is speak.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't need hands. All he has to do is speak. That's some power, people. That's some power. Because sometimes I can speak in the household and it's like I'm speaking to myself. I don't have any power. But God has some power because he can just speak. And it shall be. That's a wonderful thing. So he asked that question, and now we get to the answer of the matter from Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And they say, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. And I'm just imagining this, because that's some smooth stuff, y'all. I don't know if you saw it. That's like some Billy D. Williams type of stuff right there. That's some Denzelian stuff right there. Because a lot of us, as soon as they had mentioned we was going into a fiery furnace, you're not tossing me in a fiery furnace. Oh no, I'm going to toss you in a fiery furnace. And before you know it, we done got the whole crowd up proud, and they chanting in the back, toss them, toss them. These brothers were too smooth for that. They put on their Billy D face and they said, Nebuchadnezzar, what you just said, the question you just asked, doesn't even require a response. You know where we stand. We know where we stand. There's no need for negotiation.
All right now.
But they stay so calm and peaceful throughout the whole ordeal. They were just smooth with it. I can just see them as they're answering him and saying, what you're asking us, you know where our faith is. And that's the question that I come to ask. Where is your faith? Are you that rooted in your faith to where no matter what they bring upon you're able to stand strong? So I come with the second point of doing right despite the circumstance. Because now he's brought it to their attention. They're pretty much between a rock and a hard place. You got either bowing down and going against your beliefs or being placed into a fiery furnace. So you're between a rock and a hard place. So despite their circumstance, they still had the calmness and the peacefulness to say, your response doesn't even require us to say anything because we're so strong in our faith. We already know. You already know. So don't bring that mess this way. There's no need for it. And then they go on to continue. I love this. Whom we serve is able. That means he can do. No matter what the situation is, he can do. He has the ability to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O King. So despite the circumstances around them, they're staying strong and saying, our God can do whatever he has designed for us to do. And that's some sure enough stuff. When you're in the midst of it and you can say, my God will deliver me. When you're on the job and they're pounding you down for reports and it's 10 o'clock at night like I was last night enjoying the evening with my daughters and they're saying, turn in the report. I don't have the information for the report. I can still say, my God, my God can do, and sure enough, my God did. So it's an amazing thing. So he no matter what you're going through, no matter your circumstance, he can do. And then deliver us out of thine hand. There goes those hands again. There goes those hands again. Again, our God doesn't need hands. Because when Satan has a grasp on us, he has a way of working things out to where we can kind of slip the grip from Satan's hands. I remember as a youngster, I always hung around older kids. That's just the way the neighborhood was set up. And we lived across from an apartment complex, and the kids would all get together. I was one of the smaller kids. Maybe that's why I learned to run so fast, because we didn't play this touch football like they do now. We had a game called throw up tackle. Oh, wow. And it was more like throw up and beat them up. So if you weren't too fast, you got beat up quite often. So we'd go play throw up tackle, and the good Lord blessed me with a skill set of quickness. So as soon as I would pick up the ball, I'd take off running. But the older kids, they had long strides. And before they knew it, they were catching up to me. And they grabbed the back of my jacket, and they have a hold on me. But I didn't stop running. I kept running because I hadn't made it to the end zone, which meant they could still tackle me down to the ground, and I wasn't about to let that happen. And so I developed a technique to where I put one arm back and my sleeve would go, but they still had a hold because my other arm had the sleeve in it, and I'd switch hands with the ball, and I'd let the other sleeve go, and before I knew it, I'm loose, and I'm in the end zone doing my icky shuffle to the right and my icky shuffle to the left, and I didn't let them catch me. But somebody's being chased by Satan tonight, and I'm here to let you know you can slip his grip. You just got to keep running. You can't stop. As long as he has a hold on you, he has a chance to tackle you down. So you still got to do your end, because God can deliver you to the end. So you got to do right despite your circumstances. I got one more point, and then I'm done. I told you I wouldn't be long. I apologize for carrying on this long, but it gets so good sometimes. I just gotta keep going with the Spirit. So we come to our last point here in verse 18, and he says, "But if not," that's some strong stuff. "But if not, be it known unto thee, O King, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up." And so now we're here, but if not, and that brings me to my final point. We've already heard doing right despite what they say. Doing right despite the circumstances. You're between that rock and that hard place. And finally, we're to doing right despite the foreseeable outcome. All right. Now, when you look at this term foreseeable, that means that you're able to see or predict what's going to happen. Notice I said we're able to see or predict what's going to happen. We don't truly know what's going to happen, but it's still a foreseeable outcome, because we think in our humanly, fleshly mind that we know what the outcome is going to be. I mean, surely Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had already proclaimed that they're not going to bow down, so their only other option was being roasted into a fiery furnace. So there was a foreseeable outcome. They knew their fate, and they were standing strong despite, and everybody else knew, oh, somebody's going to fry tonight. And so they're waiting their fate, and despite that foreseeable outcome, they're still standing strong. And I'm here to let you know, despite your foreseeable outcome, despite what you're going through, God has other plans for your life. When they say, but if not, that's that test of faith that God wants to see, because in essence what they're saying, oh, let me get back to my Billy D, because that's how they presented it. They were calm, they were peaceful in them. Nebuchadnezzar.
All right.
Now, just to let you know, we're not going to bow down to your golden image. That's the God that we believe that He's going to deliver us from this fiery furnace. But if not, we're still not going to bow down to your golden image. And what they in essence is saying there is that even me going through death with a belief in God, I know that there's better on the other side than me bowing down and conforming to the system that you have set up in place for me. DISD, even if you say I can't express Christ within the classroom, I'd rather be fired than deny my God, who I believe in. Come to finance, even though you say I can't greet you with a blessing and say have a blessed day, I'd rather go jobless because my God can. He is able. Despite, so I'm still going to praise him on my job and pray in your face to let you know how strong my God is. And I guarantee you, because of the job I do, you still have me coming back tomorrow. So don't bring that to me.
Right.
So despite
That's right.
the foreseeable outcome, you still have to stay true to your beliefs. But you have to have these strong beliefs within you. Well, how do you get those beliefs, Derek? I'll let you know. It's talked about over and over again. Well, we come to Sunday service. That's good. You come to Sunday service. That's good. You still leave without an understanding because you didn't understand what was said. That's okay. But then you come to Wednesday night. You come to Wednesday night, and all of a sudden you're gaining a little knowledge, and now you start to comprehend a little Greek and Hebrew when Pastor Jackson is giving you those terms, and you start to think yourself intellectual as well. And you're like, well, maybe I can understand this and get a grasp of this. And then you come to Sunday school, and before you know it, you're understanding full text, and you're not just reading them for what they are, but you're actually comprehending what they mean to your life and how you should express that within your life to the world. And now all of a sudden you have a strong faith system to where you're able to stand up despite your foreseeable outcome that's taking place. It takes me back to the olden times, and I'm so gracious for those that have come before us. I think back to a lady who worked hard, lived a hard life, and she was enslaved, and she freed herself from slavery, and she goes back and she wakes up some other slaves, and she says, follow me, I got somewhere for you to go. And they say, well, where? Harriet, where you trying to take us now? It's late, we're trying to get our rest. We got to go back and we got to do some picking tomorrow. And she says, no, that lifestyle is over. Follow me, come with me. And they say, well, what about the dogs out there? There's dogs, and there's shotguns, and there's rifles, and there's fire and pitchforks, and despite the foreseeable outcome, Harry just says, take my hand.
All right.
My God can. And they go, and she does this and frees hundreds and hundreds and hundreds over a decade time span. And I think back to an elderly woman who's dead, and she's worked hard, y'all. She's worked hard. We think we work hard. We haven't worked hard. She worked hard, and her feet are tired. Her feet are tired, and she's just trying to get home. She's sitting on the bus there, and she's just sitting, minding her own business, waiting and wondering. You know, she'd really like a nice massage at this point, but she can't get that. But she's gonna take the rest that she's getting on a ride home, and they come and they ask, well, ma'am, you know that our rules are when someone of a Caucasian persuasion comes on the bus, you must get up and stand and let them sit down. And despite the foreseeable outcome of jail time, she says, no sir, no disrespect, just as smooth as she wanted to be, but my feet are tired. My dogs are barking. And I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to enjoy the rest of this bus ride. And she goes on, and it leads to us having the ability to ride any bus that we would enjoy or like to. We might still be riding on the back of the bus if it wasn't for the works of Miss Rosa Parks. And then you think about 4 college students in the Carolinas, and they're there. They just want to be served, y'all. They're hungry. They studied all day long, and they just want a nice meal to replenish their nourishment in school. And they're sitting there, and they say, well, I just want to be served just like everybody else. Again, just staying as calm and peaceful as they can. And I just want a meal, and I just want to be served like the rest of everybody. And they say, well, despite the foreseeable outcome, because they're they're going to get spit on, and they're going to get called outside their name, and they're going to get hit upside the back of the head, and they'll have to serve some jail time. But despite the foreseeable outcome, they're there. They're just sitting, and they're waiting for their meal patiently as they can. And I think back, we might still be eating at the backside of a restaurant if it wasn't for them who just took a stand despite their foreseeable outcome. And it keeps going on, and I think back to those who walked with their arms interlocked, black, white, Hispanic, and they're going down Selma, Alabama, and the roads, and they're just marching, and they're saying, "We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday." And they're marching, and there's a foreseeable outcome that our humanly eyes can see. We know that despite their marching, there's going to be dogs that are ravishing at their backsides and nipping at their knees and their elbows. But despite that foreseeable outcome, they know that they're going to be pounded with the water pressure of water hoses, and they're being knocked to the feet and the ground, and they're losing their breath because the pressure is so strong. But despite that foreseeable outcome, they keep marching on, and they're being beaten with batons. Now these are the legalities. These are the people who are to serve and protect. They're being beat by the policemen over the head and over the backside. But despite that foreseeable outcome, there's more. There's more. Despite the foreseeable outcome that they're being threatened by knives and gunpoint, they're still marching on. Despite that foreseeable outcome that they're being threatened with bomb attacks on their homes, not just themselves, but their children. But there's a foreseeable outcome that all this is taking place, but they know that God can and is able. So they're so strong in their faith that despite that foreseeable outcome, they keep marching on, saying, "We shall overcome someday." And I think back to how that got the civil rights movement going, and just imagine where we would be right now. That wasn't that long ago. We like to think, "Oh, that was ages ago." Come on now, that was just 40 to 50 years ago. Some of us are older than 40 to 50 years. It was going on during our lifetime, our time span. This is recent times that we're talking about, and they overcame despite their foreseeable outcome. So I'm here to tell you, despite your foreseeable outcome, you can still overcome because God is able, and He can help you make it through. So as we look back on our leaders and they're passing the torch, Harriet Tubman passes it to Rosa Parks, passes it to Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, passes it to Reverend Jeremiah Wright, passes it on to Reverend Jesse Jackson, passes it on to Pastor Aaron Jackson. We know that we can overcome despite what they may say, despite the circumstances, and despite the foreseeable outcome. We must maintain, do right, and overcome.